Welcome to Math with Jorgens here. We're going to be looking at section 4.1 on slope intercept form today. I'm going to be calling this section 4.1 part 1. We'll have part 2 on it tomorrow. Make sure you pay attention. There will be a few questions for you to answer along the way. Here we go. So a really common phrase or form of the equation of a line in math is slope intercept form, or y equals mx plus b. So y equals mx plus b, x and y are your variables, and you have two other letters here. The first one being m, which we call the slope. And we've talked a lot about slope last week. That's either the rise or the run or the measure of steepness on the graph, and that's going to be our m. And then b, just like last week, is going to be our y-intercept. So m is our slope. B is our y-intercept. Again, the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. Slope is going to be the rise over run or the steepness of our graph. So today we're going to try to write the equation of a line given some pieces of information. And we're always going to write that equation in y equals mx plus b form. Again, mx, there's an invisible kind of multiply there between m and x. So y equals m times x plus b. So if you hear y equals mx plus b form, that's going to be the same as slope intercept form. There are some other forms of equations of lines, but for today, we're going to be sticking to slope intercept form for all of our problems. So the first example we're going to be looking at today, example 1, is to write the equation of a line with a slope of equal to -3 and a y-intercept equal to 2. So whenever I'm doing these problems, I should know automatically right away that I'm going to be using the format slope intercept form, and that's the format y equals mx plus b. Once I do that, I'm going to then look at my piece of information for my problem. And in this problem, it's telling me that the slope is -3. So I automatically know that m is then equal to -3. And it's telling me my y-intercept is equal to 2. And the y-intercept is b, so that means I know my b is positive 2. So then in my format here, m is -3. So it'd be -3x, so y equals -3x, and then my b is 2, so I'm going to plug in a plus 2 since it's positive 2. So y equals -3x plus 2 would be my equation of a line with a slope of -3 and a y-intercept of positive 2. All right, let's take a second example here, and you're going to do a little bit more in terms of solving this one. So we're going to write the equation of a line with a slope of 4 and a y-intercept of -7. So again, on this one, we're going to use the same format, y equals mx plus b. And so go ahead and take your piece of information there, your m and your b, and you're going to write the equation of a line in slope intercept form. Go ahead and enter your answer when you're ready. All right, so taking a look at this one, I know from my problem my m is equal to 4 and my b is equal to -7. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my numbers for m and b. M is 4, so y equal to 4x. And then b is going to be a -7, so plus -7 or just -7 as my b there. So my equation of a line in slope intercept form with a slope of 4 and a y-intercept of -7 would be y equals 4x minus 7 here. All right, let's look at a second type of problem that we can do where we're trying to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. But they may not always give you the slope and the y-intercept. Instead, sometimes they might give you a graph, which really gives you the same thing, right? So they may give you a graph with 2 points labeled and ask you to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Now, we know the equation of a line in slope-intercept form is y equal to mx plus b, right? And so I should be able to look at my graph and kind of use the facts that we learned last week about slope and y-intercept to be able to pull the slope and y-intercept out of the graph. And then once I've pulled them out of the graph, I should be able to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Where I'm going to start is with the b. So again, the b is my y-intercept, right? And so the y-intercept is the point where it crosses the y-axis. And in this case, that point is right there, right? My y-axis goes up and down and my x-axis goes left to right. So my y-intercept, where it crosses the x-axis, would be at 0, -3, which means 0 is telling you 0 left or right, and that -3 means 3 spaces down. So my b in this case is -3, since it crosses the y-axis 3 spaces below y equals 0. Once I have my y-intercept, then I just need to find my slope, my m. And for m, I know from last week that that's equal to rise over run. And I should know right away this is going to be a positive slope because my line is trending up from left to right. So in this case, I'm going up from -3, and it's saying it's going up to a y value of 2. So my rise is going up from -3 to +2, which would be 3 spaces up to 0, and then 2 more up to +2. So I'm going up a total of 5 spaces. And that's my rise, right? So my rise going up 5 spaces is a +5. And then my run is the amount I have to go to the right. And so I'm going from an x value of 0 to an x value of 2, right? So I'm going 2 spaces to the right from 0 to 2. So my run is 2 spaces, so 5 over 2. 5 over 2 is 2.5, but I can just leave that as a fraction there, right? Now that I have those pieces, I can go ahead and insert my slope, or my rise over run, in for m in my equation, which is 5 over 2. And then my y-intercept of -3, I can go ahead and insert in for b in my equation. So I'd have a -3 as my b there. So I'd be left with y equals 5 over 2, which is 2.5x, minus 3 as my equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So sometimes they might not exactly tell you the slope and the y-intercept, but if they give you the graph, that's really the same thing because I can pull that information directly out of the graph. All right, so let's take last one to solve here. I have a graph given 2 points, 0, 5, and 3, 4. And I want to write the equation of line in slope-intercept form. You're going to help me out quite a bit on this one, so make sure you're paying attention. My equation of the line in slope-intercept form is always going to be y equals m times x plus b. And I know that I need to be able to fill in 2 pieces, my b, my y-intercept, and my m, which is my slope. So the first thing I want you to do is to figure out that b. So I want to know the y-intercept, or b. So looking at that graph, what would my y-intercept be in this problem? So hopefully you're able to look at that graph, realize it crossed the y-axis at the point 0, 5, which is 5 spaces above the 0 point there on the y-axis. So my y-intercept is going to be 5. Now that you've found the y-intercept, go ahead and try to calculate the rise over run between those 2 points. So again, my slope is going to be rise over run, and I want to find the slope. A hint, it's going to be negative because my line is trending down from left to right. So knowing that, go ahead and try to find the slope between those 2 points and enter your answer when you're ready. So hopefully you can see I'm going down from 5 to 4, so that's down 1 space. And I'm going over from 0 to 3, so that's over 3 spaces. So my rise over run would be down 1, so -1 because I'm trending down. And then right 3 spaces from 0 to 3. So my slope is going to be -1/3. Now that I know my m is -1/3 and my b is a +5, go ahead and try to write the equation of the line in y equals mx plus b form and enter your answer when you're ready. So if I go ahead and plug in a -1/3 for m and a 5 for b, I get y equals -1/3 x plus 5, which is my equation of the line here. So hopefully you're able to plug in those pieces and pick out the right answer. That kind of wraps up our first day of section 4.1. Hopefully you learned a few things, and I'll see you tomorrow for part 2 of section 4.1.